Welcome back to 7997 with your hosts, Chris and Jackie, two black immigrants living our best life in Mexico and maybe.
And the US.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we're talking about today. You may not have heard from us in a little while, and that's because people are moving across the earth so fast, it's hard to keep up with, and we finally gotten a chance to touch base virtually. Um, but maybe tell them where you are, Jack.
I am in Ohio.
The state that's, what is it, round on both ends and high in the middle?
Is that what they say?
Isn't that like a riddle or something? What's round on both ends and high in the middle? Ohio. Sorry.
I
Oh
was
yeah, I guess I
absent
do
that
have a
day
little.
doing
Yeah, there we
doing
go.
social studies. I was totally absent.
Yeah, yeah. So life always throws you curveballs, and
Mhm.
I think if we've learned anything about this move to Mexico, and just being on this planet Earth for getting close to 50 years now, is that opportunities come along and sometimes you have to take them and you can't really sit on your hands. So when something good comes along, you want to jump at it. Um, and I
And
think this
don't
opportunity,
you ever say almost 50 years again. Just
I
we
mean,
don't need to
it's
be
reality.
counting. We don't need to be counting. Keep moving.
Well, like my mother says, we've almost reached level 50. See, does that
Yeah.
sound a little better? Yeah.
No.
It's like you're about to win Super Mario Brothers 3. You're at level 50 right there.
Yikes.
But yeah, so like Jackie had an opportunity. That opportunity meant that she needed to be in Ohio for the summer. Um, so maybe tell them a little bit about, why are you in Ohio and why was it important for you to be there?
So, like many of you, and I would dare say many women, the first part of their careers, um, generally speaking, I think the first part of your career is when you're 20s and 30s, you're doing something that you probably sort of kind of don't want to do anymore once you reach your 40s and 50s. So, a little bit of that, is what I'm experiencing. But to the female side of it, the female portion, normally we do sacrifice a little bit of our careers early on to take care of family.
Mhm.
And that is what I did most of the time. And so now, this second portion of my life, I've been given the opportunity to work with people head on, straight, no chaser. Been able to, been given the opportunity to work in my psychology field, that heart and head space. So that is what I'm doing. I am working with specifically recipients of Medicaid and from ages 6 to 65. And it's for mental health, it is for career readiness and professional development, and it was just a great opportunity. And so it's supposed to be for the summer, a summer stipend every week. And you all heard us talk about money, and just how quickly those pesos and those dollars get spent. But this was an opportunity to really sort of kind of bank some more money. So that is why I'm here. But it may be parlaying into even being here even longer. But for right now, it's going to be a 90-day proposition to be here. So helping people.
Yeah. So I will correct you on one thing. This is not the second part of your life. Um,
But we're middle aged, babe. To your
Right,
point,
but you have made many transitions. You have done plenty of things. You've gone from culinary school to front of the house to running a restaurant to working in sales to taking care of your mother to moving to Mexico and starting your own business. Um,
mhm,
if you want to say this is the second part of your life, I think you are skipping a whole lot of other quote unquote parts of the life that
right.
you've been through and have made and changes. And this is just another one of those transitions that's kind of happening now.
Yeah.
And
No,
this
but
one
I'm only
feels
really counting it in years, not
okay.
necessarily, what I've done. Is literally first half, second half only in annual counting. No, that's it.
So a second ago you wasn't trying to count, but now you're in the second half, which means you have to be close to 50, right?
Let
Isn't
me
that how that?
place you on a brief hold. So, literally, when I say first half, second half, I'm really just talking about lifespan. Okay,
Hmm,
second half of the life, yes. But to your point, for sure, I've been in food service, front of house, back of the house, customer service, sales, educational environment. So caregiver, so absolutely
yeah.
homemaker, yeah.
I mean, it's been a couple weeks now, and it hasn't been the smoothest couple of weeks. I don't know
Right.
if you want to get into all those details, but um, you know, I guess one of the biggest challenges here, number one, is obviously being away from each other for so long. Um, I think it's probably something that a lot of people probably go to when we're talking about transitioning between countries.
Hmm.
Uh, not always are you able to kind of have the entire family come down together. Sometimes, maybe
Yeah.
one of the couple was retired and they're able to kind of go down early, and somebody's got to stay behind and finish out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or
or
children, or elderly parents, or
elderly
something.
parents or something. Yeah. So like,
Yeah.
not everybody gets to kind of have the same timing, but I think that's been a big challenge of just like making sure you stay connected, making sure you're not going crazy, just missing the other person. Obviously, platforms like this, the internet is great nowadays, where you can actually pick up a phone or a device and call and touch
Face
base
to
as much
face, right?
as face and see and talk.
Hmm.
I'm sure somebody's making a technology so that you can touch each other over the internet. Guarantee it. There you go. I imagine it's like one of those big you seen those toys with like all the little pins? You can like stick your little hand in the pins, and the pins come out on the other side. Like if it's
Uh-huh.
motorized or something, you can like put your hand on there, and then put
Right.
your hand on the other side. You can feel each other touching or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a little carried away, but
Yeah. A little
yeah,
sci-fi.
yeah. I mean, if you could describe just the last couple of weeks as far as like just being away from not only me but Mexico and home, basically, how's that kind of felt for you? I've been dealing with it.
It is just weird. Because once a place becomes home, it's home.
Hmm.
But then if you're going back to what used to be home, there's still a level of comfort and familiarity.
Hmm.
Um, but the absence, I think, of the people who are closest to you, i.e., you, and mom and Baba Tai, friends, then that's where it starts to get weird. Like, I'm missing my peeps. I'm missing my environment.
Hmm.
I am missing, the mountains and the palm trees, the cost of living. I
Yeah.
am yearning for the Mexican interaction, so like yesterday, this is really interesting. Yesterday we went to a Mexican restaurant, a traditional Mexican restaurant, for
Hmm.
lunch. And I walked in, I'm like, agua frescas, ooh, sopes. It is like, yes. And everyone there were Mexican, same family. And so I'm able to speak to them in Spanish. They're like, really? Like, "And where'd you live?" "Well, my family's from Michoacan." I'm like, I know where Michoacan is. And then, Ciudad de Mexico. I'm like, I know Mexico City. Just being able to make that connection is interesting, that I'm missing a place that was not originally mine, or I
Yeah.
wasn't originally familiar with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so that's been interesting. I think it's been okay, only because it's only been a couple of weeks. So it's still sort of kind of new being here, and being without you. It
Yeah.
almost feels like just an extended work trip in a way. But
Uh-huh.
I think in another few weeks, then I may start getting, I need to rub on your head. You know what I mean? Like, I really am missing you. Like we said to each other, I miss getting on your nerves. being in your space, right?
Mhm. Yeah, because like, I had, like, a bit of a whirlwind trip, what was it, last week, up to see the new grandbaby. Um, so, like, that entire week leading up to it, I think I had 6 and 7 AM meetings, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, got on
Mhm.
a flight on Thursday, spent that entire day traveling because my flight was delayed,
Delayed, yeah.
hit New York City until 1:30 in the morning, and then get the sticker shock of, like, a 20-minute Uber trip from the airport into Queens is $75
You
because
gotta be kidding.
the
Are you
airport's backed
serious?
up. Yeah, the airport was backed up because of the rain and all the
So we
delays, so
got there was a
there was a gang of
surge.
people out there waiting and the surge pricing, and so I'm looking at that like, how far is the walk? Like, is there a bus? And but it's 1:30 in the morning, like, granted, I know New York never sleeps, but I wanna go home and sleep, so I had to pay that $75 for the Uber so I can get to the hotel and get settled
Ah,
in. Um,
wow.
but, like, that transition of going from Mexico to the US is
It's
interesting. It's
fuck.
great, it's bad, it's all of the above, right? Like, I definitely appreciate not having to think so much before interactions. Like, down here, because of the language barrier and not
Yeah, you
knowing
gotta get
if
yourself
speak
set up.
English, you
It's
have to
like a
kinda
stage. We gotta stay staged,
you gotta
right?
stage, you gotta rehearse it in your mind, like, "Okay, this is what I gotta say, and, if they say this is what I'm gonna respond with." Uh, but I don't necessarily need that as much because everybody speaks English.
Right.
But also we went to eat in Chinatown and, like, it was the same thing because, like, I don't know if they speak English or they speak Chinese or
Right,
whatever.
right, right.
So that felt almost comfortable in a way of
Isn't
like,
that
"Hey, I'm used
interesting?
to having to try and figure out a conversation with somebody,"
Uh-huh.
even though they all
Uh-huh.
speak perfectly fine English,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Chinatown. Um, and yeah, of course, like, not having you in the house is a lot quieter, but also a lot more boring. Like, I start to realize that most of the reasons I leave the house are attached to you. So, like, if I don't need to go out and get something, like,
Right.
I have no real reason to go out. Like, I'm not going out to hang out. I'm not going to go hang at this event with these people or whatever. I'm going to be in the house. So, like, even this morning, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna take my camera out. I'm gonna walk around the neighborhood, explore a little bit, take some pictures,
Yeah.
so I can get out the house and get some fresh air and get some exercise.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, it's just a different space to be in when you're so used to being with another person and they're not there all the time, or when you're used to being in a certain environment that you need to prepare for and be ready for in a certain way. Um, and you get to New York and everything is 10 times as expensive. And you're like, how does anybody want to live here? And like being in Xavier's apartment of like, even my first apartment was 3 times the size of his apartment in Queens. So like I feel
And
like I had
they pay a
a small.
premium, but their premium is cheaper than everybody else around them, right?
Right, right, like, they pay twice as much what we pay in rent for,
For two houses.
uh, for 2 houses, right. So, like, I just don't understand. I mean, I do understand, like, the ability to walk out your front door and go down whatever street that was, 28th Avenue or whatever it was,
And you
and
have
there
everything.
restaurants and stores and markets and people everywhere, like, just that convenience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's worth it that much because, like, if you go into the downtown of any town, you can get
What you
conveniences.
need. Right.
Um, I mean, you're not gonna get New York style convenience, but still, it's like, I don't understand why you wanna be in that environment
Mm-hmm.
for that price with that small amount of space,
Mm.
in an apartment with 2 cats and a brand new baby. Um, like, I get it, when you're young, you have the energy to do it, it feels fine, but, come see
After
me in about 10, 15 years,
you be
and you
like,
have
nah.
maybe another or, 1 or 2 more children, that's not gonna work for you, you're gonna need
Right.
something, so
Right. Right.
we'll see how that but, it's been a challenging time. It's been an exciting time. It's been really exciting to see you finally get into this space of because like the transition there wasn't as smooth as it was supposed to be. You're running a
Right.
summer camp and it's got delayed a couple of weeks, and you're finally gotten there and got the camp running, and you're in there enjoying the children and the kids and being able to help the community and just
Mm-hmm.
seeing the joy that you're getting out of that has been really exciting to see. And
Oh, thank you, babe.
like you said, particularly like all the different phases of life and careers that you've been through have helped to prepare you for this particular moment. So like being able to have that culmination, like I know that feeling too of like I've got all these different skill sets and now I can put all of them together into one thing and it feels like I had the recipe, and now I've finally gotten to cook the actual meal.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Something
yeah.
exciting to see. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I appreciate you for like supporting me and really having my back. Even when I didn't think you had my back, you had my back. Or not necessarily thinking, but sometimes I don't feel it because the way we express those things are totally different. So I just want to, in front of the whole world, I want to say thank you. Yeah,
So why do you
and
feel like I didn't have your back?
it's not it's not well because of the just the dialogues that we've had,
Mm,
conversations we've had in private, without the cameras rolling. We're just different. So I show my sets of love and appreciation in one way, and you show it another way. I guess if I had to put it in like just food terms or restaurant terms, I show how I appreciate front of the house, and
mm,
you are more of a back of the house. So people don't see the person in the back of the house making sure that everything is running and functioning properly. You
yeah.
see the front. You see the manager who's shaking hands and kissing babies and you know doing this and doing that in the front. But there's a whole lot going on in the back behind the scenes
Yeah.
that is equally important, and I would dare say probably even more important. So I just want to say thank you for that. And but going back to the culture shock is so weird because going back home, you're like, it's so cool and it's fun, and then you get to have your whatever creature comforts that you're missing on the other side of the border. You get a chance to have them, but then it's like, okay, I'm ready to go.
So
Ready to go.
what am I giving up to have these creature comforts at the end of the day?
Right. And oftentimes it is, I think really it's the mental space. For me, I have gun violence has been in my mind on my mind.
Hmm.
I'm in the grocery store. I'm in the Walmart. Now I haven't actually been to a Walmart. They love Kroger. Kroger is the big thing here. But as I'm walking around, I'm just looking, seeing, exits, you know, just the environment that I'm in. So that's been really challenging. Going back to thinking about my safety like that.
Yeah.
Um, and then the cost of everything.
Hmm.
15-minute ride was $20 the other day, so I can
Yeah.
go and rent a car. And it's and which is small world. The guy who owns the car, I was able to meet him, and they're Mexican.
Okay.
They're Mexican. So just being able to chit chat, he's like, I want to go back. Oh man, and having a Mexican American, his father is Mexican, his mother is American. And just he's like, I remember going as a kid, and I want to go back, like, and there he's really just expressing the same things that we talk about. It's just so hard here, and this and that. Going through his laundry list, he's like, I remember being, back in my dad's home. I think they're from Sinaloa.
Sinaloa. Hmm.
I think Sinaloa. But don't quote me on that. But it's like I just remember being there, and it was just so nice, and so laid back and so chill. And the young lady at the restaurant yesterday, my family's from Australia, and oh, I want to go back. That, and so I'm just yeah, I want to go back. But if we play our cards right, this will just be part of the journey, part of the story, um, and we could build something professionally that could replicate itself, and that could be um, part of my how would you say, my give back to the community,
Hmm.
and also will be able to enrich our family as well. So, because it's a mental health organization, but the way it's run is more of an independent or like a franchise, if you will.
Yeah.
So, I'm helping to build someone's local franchise here where I'm located, but there could be an opportunity where I can have my own franchise,
Hmm.
and build that in another community, in another state,
Yeah.
and have other partners come, you know?
Some place
So,
where you actually want to.
yeah, yeah, exactly. A professional space where I would want to be. Well, that's not nice. I mean, it's actually pretty cool.
I mean, it's not the
Ohio,
worst in the world, but
no, it's
Ohio is
not.
necessarily the
I would have never been like, you know, how they give military when you enlist, they're like, okay, what's your sheet? Give us the one, the two, the three, where you want to be. They say always number one. Everybody want to be in.
Hawaii.
Thank you. Everybody puts Hawaii, right? So, you know, but Ohio would not have trumped Hawaii for me.
Right.
But now that I'm here on the ground, it's like, okay, it's a really lovely state. The places I've been so far. Um, and what's also interesting, just based off of the the societal feel here, if you will, communal feel, there is, you can definitely see that there's a little bit of separation, you know, with our white counterparts, and then maybe those who are African American, you know, brown Latinos, what have you. But there also is almost a healthy mix, you know, and
Mhm.
so I really haven't felt that I haven't felt that the
Maybe
level of
use your words on
discomfort.
that. What does chopping into your hand signify?
I haven't felt the level of discomfort that maybe compared to maybe being in North Carolina, you know, some parts of North Carolina.
Yeah.
There's a good mix, you know, and everyone is doing all the jobs. So, yeah, it's just been an interesting observation, you know. And obviously, there are some country parts because there's always going to be country farm parts, and
Yeah.
then you cut the corner, round the bend, and then boom, here's Target, here's a mall, here's your Starbucks, here's all the things that you would want.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But yeah, hopefully this will be able to grow into something else. You know.
Yeah. I think what's been, I don't know if I want to say scary or frustrating or something I hadn't had to worry about in a long time. It's just the prospect of possibly, us moving back to the U.S. or back to or into Ohio at some point, if that becomes an option, and looking at like what does it take to get started in the U.S. because we've been
Because
going through.
we've always been there.
We've always been there. We've had sort of we've had the build up that you kind of need in order to kind of go from place to place, a lot easier. But like when you've been
Yeah,
out of the U.S. for a while, like your credit doesn't look the same because
we've
you haven't
used
been
it.
interacting with anything credit wise. Everything now needs a big credit check. Everything now needs a big down payment. You have to now understand and learn a new area. Whereas, like you come to Mexico, like nobody runs your credit for anything. If you have the cash in your pocket and you signed your name on the dotted line, the place is yours. Like
Yeah,
it's first come, first serve.
yeah.
Um, so, like it's a whole. We're not necessarily starting at the bottom for sure, but like it definitely feels like we have to kind of start over when we come
A
back.
reset.
Definitely feels like, man, this is what you know. Starting now is much harder than when we actually started, right? So, my first apartment in Baltimore was $400 a month.
$425.
Whereas you want something now, you're going to pay at least $1,500 for a studio, like almost no matter where you are. Um, so, just kind of thinking through, what does everything
Starting over
okay?
look like.
You destroying friends in there? You got some company in the room with you?
Edit that out.
Those fresh Ohio bugs. There you go.
But yeah, what is starting over going to look like? You know,
Yeah.
um, because we've done a very good job not buying furniture. So right, so we literally would be like air mattress or a convertible couch.
Yeah, I mean that's the crazy thing of like just that difference in lifestyle and society of like having a furnished place here is, normal. It's a common thing that most people have, a place to rent with furniture and it's not their furniture. Whether you like it or not is something different. But like if you want to come down and get started, there's a place here that has, a crappy couch and a couple of beds and probably a TV,
Pots,
internet
pans,
charger hooked up,
dishes.
utilities are already on.
Yep.
Like it's plug and play in a lot of ways. Like pay the
Mm-hmm.
rent and I'm ready to live.
Yep.
Whereas
And
now, like
affordably, because
and
I've been
affordable,
looking. I've been
right?
looking for the prefab situations, right? And I think the cheapest I've seen is 3,000 a month for fully furnished.
Yeah. So like starting back in the U.S., you got to get the furniture for the place. You got to set up all your utilities, and all that costs lots of amounts of money.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll see how it goes. If that ends up being an option that we move to Ohio or someplace else,
Mm-hmm.
we'll see how that goes. But I don't know. I don't look forward to necessarily that part, particularly not moving across the border again. Um,
Yeah.
that was not the most fun part of it. The hard part was liquidating more so than the actual move. But
Yeah. And then it'll be the reverse this time if that happens,
yeah,
going back and acquiring.
acquiring. Yeah, yeah,
But we still have many months, to be prayerful and to weigh our options and things like that. And if it makes sense from a family standpoint, that maybe we do the snowbirding thing. So
mm,
6 months one place and then 6 months the other place. Um, Perfect world would be to max out our earning potentials remotely.
yeah.
That is perfect world.
That's always the best situation. So you can live wherever you want to and just work.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So I guess that's pretty much it here. We kind of just want to touch base with you guys, let you guys know what's going on. Um, Life's challenges and changes, always catching up with us as always. Um, but yeah, you might see us in a local Ohio town near you sometime, possibly. If you see us, come by and say hi. Uh,
yes.
but as always, we ask you to like, comment, and subscribe. Uh,
Day, y'all be safe and be well. And I've been able to say that. I said it twice this week, and then it was like igualmente, and I was like, I know exactly what that means. I was sorry.
all right.
It was just so fun and refreshing. And I had to look the first time I said it. I had to think about. I was like, hey, cuídate, cuidate. How do you say it again? Because I hadn't said it in like 3 weeks.
Yeah. You ain't gotten your Quita practice in?
Cuídate, cuídate.
All right. So we will see y'all next time. Quita Arias Garce. Take care. Take a chance. Peace, y'all.